The Lunaverse by Rainbow Double Dash, Episode 18, Symphony for Moon and Sun by Grassy Clouds 2, Chapter 1, Trees' Rewards. Moonlit Night allowed himself a single smirk as he eased his way onto the representative's house. Everything was going according to plan. The school teacher was already eating out of his hoof. They just enjoyed a romantic dinner together at Les Bis Ardents, the fanciest restaurant in town, and she spent most of the evening staring into his eyes. That charm spell he laid on her was working perfectly. She trusted him with all her hopes, fears, dreams, everything. All he needed to do now was modify the town records, see that she wound up in a bit of trouble in her position as schoolteacher, and she come running to him for solace. At which point he could casually mention that he knew of a school at Duke Greengrass's domain that could use such a fine and outstanding teacher as herself. The office was quiet. Moonlit cast a low yellow light from his horn, lighting up the room until he could see the representative's desk. The teacher had told him that the important town records were kept here, and that would include teacher disciplinary reports. He just needed to find the pile of forms that were due for filing, there they were, and put his doctored complaints report somewhere at the top. A confusion spell would ensure that the representative would get a headache whenever she tried to stare at the form too closely. So he ended up just glancing over it before filing it, and in a few days, Cheerily would be suspended, and that would be that. Moonlit inserted the falsified report into the pile and smiled. Once again, the greatest grifter in Canterlot has stolen another man's heart. He straightened, and now the lights in the room turned on. Moonlit immediately shut his eyes, stung by the sudden, harsh light. What? He began. All right, Sapphire Beauty, if that's even your real name. It was a familiar and very annoying voice. Freeze! Moonlit opened his eyes to see Representative Luamoon entering the room from the back entrance. Moonlit turned, only to watch as raindrops strode in from the front door. He was trapped. Do you really think that you could put one over on the great and powerful Trixie? Ha ha ha! Laughed the blue unicorn. We knew who you were from the moment you entered town. Oh, by the way, Charlie says she's not into you. Once we remove that charm spell, she thought you were actually kind of pretentious. Moonlit scowled. If his cover was blown, he would have to get out of town. The magic he'd been using, particularly the charm spells, was not exactly legal, but he had to say it first. His horn glowed. Out of my way! I don't think so. Trixie stepped into the room and approached Moonlit. You're under arrest for attempting to interfere with official reports, illegal use of forbidden magic, and... Moonlight's confusion spell slammed into Trixie before she knew what had hit her. And in a moment, she was reeling, dizzy and somewhat nauseous. Moonlight took the opportunity to race around her. He booked for the door she had been guarding, until it opened again, and an earth pony stepped out. The farmer element, Carrot Top. Dang it! Two confusion spells of that magnitude in a row would tax even Moonlit. He changed course, using his telekinesis to pick up a paperweight from the bookshelf and hurl it at the window. No! He heard Trixie cried, but then the grass was shattering. He jumped out the window, dodged the blast of magic from the green unicorn outside, and vanished into the night. Drakes are on me, said Charlie, putting a small sack of bits in the center of the table. Thanks for saving me. I would have done something crazy if you hadn't removed that charm spell. No problem, said Ditsy. I'm just glad he's gone. Are you sure you're okay? Asked Carrot Top. I'm fine now, Charlie giggled. Really? Once Trixie cast the counterspell, it was like he could think clearly again. I didn't have thoughts of that blowhard running through my head all day and night. Trixie smiled. She heard some interesting reports of Cheerily's behavior in the class the other day. As distracted as one of her foals was a polite way of putting it. Well, Greengrass fails again, and now we know another one of his agents. I say that's worth a celebration. She raised her voice. Barry, give me my easel! Right away, Miss Lunamoon. Lyra laughed. Looks like the elements could chalk up another victory over the court. Hey, some of us here are both, said Trixie. You know what I mean. The corrupt parts of the court, then. Lyra grinned. Meanwhile, the drinks were arriving, and Trixie grabbed a bottle of bourbon. The Duke and his cronies might have lots of power and money, but they can't overcome the magic of our friendship, the bonds of our loyalty, and the... Whatever else they couldn't overcome would never be known, because Trixie had just gulped down her first glass of bourbon. To us! She yelled. I propose to nothing. Lyra chuckled. All right, that works too. To us! They all happily laughed as they toasted. What do you think Greengrass will do now? Who cares? It'll take him a while to set up another attempt. I say, let's enjoy the downtime while we can. 3 days later. It's Philharmonica, sir. She's our link. Greengrass looked up from his evening hot chocolate at his secretary. Ah, I suspected as much. Sir? She's the only one who knows my plans, and has a personal relationship with any of the elements. Lunamoon's not competent enough at court to marry any smart political allies, and I would hope I could find any idiot courtiers foolish enough to try and deal with her. If her source isn't political, it must be social. Greengrass chuckled as he carefully spread jam on his toast. What proof did you find? Lockpick broke into her house while she was at the Feistering Poussin stance. She found a half-written copy of the next letter to Lunamoon. It referenced Moonlit, and contained a short list, mostly accurate, of some of your political allies. Greengrass sighed. I was hoping to get more use out of her, but I can't let a traitor remain in my service. Such a trouble precedent. So what shall I do with her? The Mild West settlements are putting out a call for entertainers, as I recall. Apparently, it's a bit dull out there. Yes, sir. Kindly inform her that she will be moving there within a week, or we will... Greengrass thought, well, we'll frame her for something. Something of salty. Attacking a rival, that sort of thing. She cares about her reputation, so she won't want that to wind up in the papers. He paused and shook his head. Actually, cancel that. I'd like to send Lunamoon a message too. You know, this is what happens to ponies you try to use against me. She's selfish, but it still might give her pause, and it'll definitely scare any other allies he scrounged up. Perhaps there's something more we could do to Octavia. He thought, what's Philharmonica doing these days? In the next few weeks, she has 3 relatively small recitals and shows. And in addition to a lecture in the Cantonal School for Musical Arts, 10 days from now is her next big concert, the treaty celebration at the castle. Notary looked annoyed. In honor of the renewed treaty with our southern neighbors, the... Oh, right. There'll be a huge gala. Every pony will be there. Good food, good music, yada yada yada. Greengrass snorted. Do the ambassadors even like solo music? I don't think they'll be in attendance, sir. That's just for the court. Which, of course, had nothing to do with anything. Luna was the one who fixed up the treaty. But then again, if the court stopped taking rewards for things they didn't do, half of them would starve to death. Greengrass smiled lightly. But you worked hard to get her that booking, didn't you? Quite hard, sir. Princess Luna herself will be there. Every noble of rank, Archduke or higher. Octavia will be the youngest mare by 3 years to perform for the princess. I do wish she had the decency to betray us before I went to all that trouble. Notary, it's a sad fact of life that sometimes our best efforts are unappreciated. Notary grinned. You are now going to use that opening to tell me of the things you've done that you feel I have not sufficiently appreciated, aren't you? Yes, sir. Greengrass laughed, then paused. Wait. The princess will be there. He rose. Yes, this is perfect. Sir, Octavia didn't just steal my money or try to bribe one of my employees. She gave up my political secrets. That should exact a far more severe punishment than a few years of exile. There is also the issue of making it very clear to Lulamoon that, if she uses the tools against me, I'll smash them from her hoof. So, if Arcellus offends the princess... He cut his front hose. Notary, do we have any plans for the night? At 11, you are scheduled to heroically stride into the Education Department budget meeting and offer funds from your own fiefdom to plug the budget gap, in return for a series of trifling concessions, which you would then use as part of a scheme to... Okay, yes, besides that. No, sir. Do we have time? Great Grass began to trot toward the door. Let's go propose a concert, Notary. Notary followed. I could book a few proposers. That can come later. First, we need newspaper ads, massacring circulars, personal invitations to every pony who's any pony. Great Grass grinned. It simply must have a huge crowd. After all, it will be Octavia Philharmonica's greatest and final performance. My little pony, ah, my little pony, it's never meant that much to me, my little pony, but you're all here, now I can see, stormy weather, lots to share, a musical bond, with loving care, teaching laughter, it's an easy feat, and magic makes it all complete, you have my little ponies. How did I ever make so many true friends? You are watching the Lunaverse, created by Rainbow Double Dash. It can happen only on the Hub, presented by Hasbro. Read by Martial Art Fruit User. Presented by Fandom Fridays. Looking for a cheap fanfic thrill to keep yourselves occupied for the next pony fic? Enjoy Fandom Fridays. Every week, new non-pony related fanfic, just for your entertainment. Hi, Ditsy! Ditsy Doo smiled at Lyra as he trotted over to her house. Good morning, Lyra. Expecting an important letter? Lyra grinned. Yeah, I guess I don't usually wait for the mail, do I? But I submitted an application to the Trottingham Philharmonic. They need a guest lyre player for a few concerts for a few weeks. Today's the day I'm supposed to hear back. She grinned. I'm so excited! Ditsy checked her mailbags. Well, let's see. Ah! You have mail! She carefully took out a stack of layers and passed them to Lyra. And I think I see one postmark for Trottingham. Oh, it's thick and... Lyra grabbed it with her telekinesis and ripped the envelope. Dear Miss Heartstrings, blah, blah, blah. Oh! Her eyes widened. Invited to audition. I got the audition! I made the short list! Congratulations! Lyra laughed. I got it! I'm the Philharmonic in Trottingham. Woohoo! Lyra poked her head. Bon poked her head out of the house. What's going on? I made the shortlist for Trottingham, Lyra grinned. 2 weeks from now, I'll be auditioning! Wow, nice going. Dizzy passed Lyra the rest of her mail. Have a good day, Lyra! I already am! She said, almost bouncing back inside. Bon was just setting out the plates for a lazy Saturday brunch. Lyra began to help, using her telekinesis to grab the glasses and the orange juice. I'll need to see Rarity later, figure out what to wear, and oh, this is so exciting! And this time, no politics, right? Asked Bon. Nope! Trottingham Philharmonic doesn't have any court representation. This one's strictly music! Bon nodded. Hey, can I see the rest of that mail? I'm expecting a letter from my cousin in Baltimore. Lyra passed the letters to her. You'll be there, right? Watching my Trottingham debut? Wouldn't miss it for the world. Bon cycled through the letters. Bill, junk. Notice from the mayor regarding the Streetlights concert? She trailed off. You didn't tell me you were going to a concert. I wasn't, Lyra chuckled. But I guess some pony thinks I should. What's the piece? Bon opened the letter and scanned it. The, Symphony for Moon and Sun. What? Lyra laughed. That has to be a joke. No pony plays that piece. Why? Because the princess hates it, said Lyra. It's practically a legend. Any pony who plays it never performs again. Luna shuns them, and then they're poisoned. No venue will host them. That letter can't be real. Bonbon was still reading the invitation. The piece must be terrible then. No, no, it's gorgeous. Some of the score survived. I read it in the Canterlot Library once. I mean, it looks crazy hard to play. But if you could do it, it would sound fantastic. Then I don't understand. Lyra grinned, and her horn glowed as he cast a spell to summon her Lyra. Want to hear the whole story? Will the pancakes get cold? Oh, hush! It'll only take a minute. Thrum. Lyra smiled and began to strum her heart. 900 years ago, ponies wanted to celebrate the century anniversary of the defeat of Tyrant Sun. Luna was being reclusive, and the ponies wanted to please her by showing her how grateful they were at her victory. So they threw a huge party. Great food, drink, even early stage musicians. Everything was done a big thank you to the princess for saving the country. Now Luna loves music, as he loved it back then too. The crowning jewel of the event was supposed to be the Symphony. The greatest cellist of the time, Concerti Brillante, had most of the score in the old castle archives. He mastered it, then played at the party. But instead of praise, she castigated him. She said that he got it all wrong, and he wasn't fit to play a note. Then she left without finishing the party. A few days later, another cellist offered to try. Femme fortissime, but her performance was even worse. And neither of them could get work as musicians either. Luna sunned them, and no pony would hear them afterwards. For a while, a new hotshot cellist would try to play it every few months. Then it became every few years, and then in the end, once every 10 to 30 years. No pony ever succeeded. And within the last 100 years, it stopped completely. I don't think any pony's tried it since Amor Piano 70 years ago. And Luna won't say why she hates it. If she has, no pony remembers what she said. Lyra shook her head. The poor performances weren't required, and even reviewed, because of Luna's displeasure. No pony even knows exactly how they sounded. You said that conservatory what's-his-name found the score, right? So a different composer wrote it before conservatory's opponents? Did Luna like his rendition? Hers, maestro. She was famous. But there's no record of her ever playing the piece, or Luna's thoughts. Lyra shrugged. Thing is, conservatory didn't find a full score. The last movement was missing. A lot of ponies think that Luna might not like the other renditions because none of the endings ponies have made up over the years can compare to the original. Then again, I think she always hated it, and that she had the ending destroyed because it was so offensive. It's a mystery. Oh. Lyra carefully balanced the huge plate of pancakes and got it to the table. So the piece is beautiful, and the score is available. Most of it. The ending's lost. Most of it's available. But it can't be played because Luna hates it for some inexplicable reason that she hasn't bothered to tell any pony? Is that about right? Yes. Bonbon smiled a little. Does he find that just a bit silly? Lyra giggled. I suppose. But are there silly quirks like that in your line of work? No, actually. There is no candy recipe that produces delicious toffee but is forbidden by royal decree. We know if there was, because Pinky would be banished in about 12 minutes. Lyra laughed as she used her telekinesis to pick up her fork and cut a huge piece of pancake. Fair point. But anyway, that letter has to be a joke. The audience shows up and it's a prank or something. Who's playing? Bonbon frowned. It's Octavia, Lyra. Your mentor. Lyra's fork clattered to the floor. What? Chapter 2. Opening themes. Okay, so Octavia's about to kill her own career? Lyra hadn't wanted to eat, but Bonbon had to absolutely refuse to let her panic on an empty stomach. So Lyra reluctantly wolfed down the cakes. That done, the two mares then moved to the living room. Bonbon tried to get Lyra to sit down, but the green lyre player was all too agitated. It just kept panting around. I don't know. I don't even know who sent me this invitation. For all I know, this is fake or some really sick joke, but if it's true... Bonbon hesitated. Lyra, dear, she betrayed you. She tried to trick you into working for the court. I'm not sure you should... I know, but still, she would never do something like this. She's really wrong. Lyra began pacing faster. I don't understand any of this. There's nothing in the world that she likes more than performing. So she'd never throw away her career like this. Greengrass doesn't have enough money in the world to make it work for her. Hey, Luna doesn't either. It's some kind of scam or... Bonbon pulled Lyra into an embrace. All right, we'll figure it out, okay? But not by panicking. Lyra took a deep breath. Yes, of course. Right. So, why would she do it? Mused Bonbon. First option. Maybe she really thinks she could pull it off. And she wants to be the only mayor that ever did it. I mean, she's working for Greengrass. Maybe his ambition rubbed off on her. She wouldn't think she could do what every pony in 900 years couldn't. She's really good, but she's not arrogant like that. Even if she did, she wouldn't take the risk. Then maybe she found the ending somehow, suggested Bonbon. Maybe what Luna doesn't like is that the later performances don't have the right final movement. If she has it, she might think she could play it without making Luna angry. It's been gone for 900 years, at least according to legends, said Lyra. I doubt she has it. Could Greengrass have gotten it for her? I don't know how he could have gotten it either. Bonbon hesitated. Well, maybe it really is just some dumb prank. Some jerk who wants to panic you. That could be. Lyra smiled, although it was rather wan. I hope that's all it is. Why don't we write the concert hall and see if she's really playing? But if it's a prank, they might even schedule the fake booking. It's been known to happen, said Lyra. Maybe I should write Octavia herself and ask. Okay, said Bonbon. Well, wait, no, that won't work. Trixie mentioned that Greengrass is probably watching her mail. Since he's one of his agents that's also close to his enemies, he'll interfere. Lyra paused. I guess I could go ask her in person. I know where she lives after all. Lyra, there's another possibility. That this whole thing is a trap to lure you to Canterlot, said Bonbon. Once you're there, it'll be a lot easier for Greengrass or any other noble to get you. But what if it's not? What if she's in real trouble? Bonbon paused, then snuggled close to her mare friend. Lyra, please don't do anything rash. Please. If you get hurt or something, I don't know what I'll do. Lyra hugged Bonbon. I don't have any intention of getting hurt. But if you're in danger, I'd fight any monster to rescue you. Bonbon smiled a little. You already did, remember? It's just who I am. I know Octavia hurt me, and I know that if she succeeded, she might even torn us apart. But she was my closest friend in Canterlot for years. She taught me so much of what I know. I wouldn't be half as good as I am today without her. And if you met her then... Lyra paused. All she really wants to do is perform her music for others. When she was at the university, she was one of the most selfless mares I knew. She practiced endlessly because she felt it was her absolute duty to play the best possible music for her audiences. Any less would be disrespectful to music itself and to ponies who wanted to listen to it. I can't believe she's changed so much that she doesn't care about that anymore. Maybe Greengrass led her astray, but she can't be totally corrupted. She's worth rescuing if she needs it. I hope you're right. Lyra nodded. I'm going to Canterlot. Not without a plan, said Bonbon hastily. But, no, I'm not letting you run off without a clue, especially if this is a trap. Bonbon shook her head. I won't stop you going, but we're going to do this right. I will ask the theater and papers if this concert's really happening. You'll set up a place to stay, train tickets, everything, and you'll write Octavia. But if you wander into some court trap, that won't help Octavia. It'll just hurt you. And me too. If you get hurt, Lyra, I'll... Bonbon looked away. Like I said, I don't know what I'll do. Lyra hesitated, then hugged Bonbon tightly as she could. All right, we'll plan it out. Octavia's strong, and she can last 2 days without me. We'll get everything set up, okay? Don't worry. Good. Bonbon smiled. Please be careful. I will. And hey, hopefully this is all some dumb joke, and I'll be back a few hours later. It's just, if it's not, what will you do? Octavia's my friend. Or at least she was. Lyra looked out the window, in the direction of Canterlot. I'll do whatever I have to save her. Octavia shut the door behind her agent, and then, preparing herself to a rare moment of weakness, sank to the ground in a heap. "It's awful," she thought. "Oh, I lose. Nothing can save me now." Her agent had just quit. He had informed her that she might be arrogant or foolish enough to risk everything in a lunatic scheme, but he won't be joining her. Yes, he'd been raking in buckets of bits from her, ever since he became the hot commodity at the court. The other ponies were outbidding each other in an effort to secure her services. But that didn't matter, and she couldn't really blame him. It didn't really matter either that she hadn't signed up for the concert, and that it had just been announced in the papers and magazines as if by magic. All that counted that she was playing a piece of music that could not be played, and any pony who was associated with the performance would suffer. She had contracted the most talented of her colleagues and peers, thinking, perhaps, they could advise her or help her. They were all experts in their crafts, and many of them had to be familiar with the symphony. And nothing else. They could point her to resources on the missing ending, maybe let her know of analyses of the piece they had seen in dusty old books. But the reputation of the piece was such that few of them studied it, and none at all were willing to discuss it. "Wish I could," said Trumpeter, one of Canterlot's young bass players. "But you know the story of the piece. Any pony that helps you play it is going to be in trouble." "I recall you promising a favor when I filled in your ear Celeste on Arthur Fess's banquet." "And yes, and I meant it. But this isn't just a favor. I'm not going to risk my career on this. Sorry, Octavia." She had a few recitals scheduled for the next few weeks, but they had all been quickly cancelled by organizers. Her substantial cancellation fees paid without question. The Music Academy had informed her that not only was her lecture being rescheduled for a date to be determined, but that she was no longer welcome on the premises. And Greengrass, of course, was suddenly unavailable when she tried to see him. "At this rate, Luna won't even need to formally shun me. I am ruined anyway." But that was all the whining she could allow herself. It was her own fault, she reminded herself, for getting involved with the Duke in the first place. She'd gladly taken the concerts he had given her in payment for her treachery. She had no right to complain about suddenly having to pay for them. If she could never perform again, it was no more than she deserved. The punishment of a mare who had forgotten honesty and taken a shortcut to success. Honesty? You know, Octavia, I don't think that would be a bad element for you. She had, after all, had the option of trying to have a legitimate career. That was what the other musicians did, at least the good ones. They practiced hard and built up their talents. They started small, played faultlessly, and grew famous by word of mouth. There were musicians, she knew, who had no patrons, but were all desired by the world solely due to their ability, and not their ability to play some political master. Octavia could have been other one. She had chosen otherwise. Besides, there is little point in struggling to alter something I cannot change. I could play, or I could cancel, or just not show up. But it's all the same. The cancel on Luna herself would be almost as bad as playing that song before her, and skipping out would be the worst option of the three. No matter what I do, I am finished. I cannot even take solace in a veritable final performance, because the papers and ponies will never praise anything Luna detests. They won't admit that if they like it even to themselves. The performance will be lost like the others. No recordings, no reviews, nothing but a deafening silence. She didn't know what she was going to do, so she decided to start practicing. That way, and she did decide to go through with the piece, she would be ready as if it mattered. So she struggled to her hooves and slowly made her way to her cello. The practice room in the castle, that was her goal. The room was soundproofed and completely isolated from all the other ponies that were now expecting, some eagerly awaiting her fall. She had to get away from them. Then she could play. The walk to the castle itself was unusually quiet. Ponies avoided her as if she was a condemned prisoner. No fans saw her autographs, and not one pony begged her to give her a moment of her time, so they could try and persuade her to play at one of their little soirees or dances. Even the guards seemed standoffish. like she had already offended their master somehow. Normally, Octavia wished she didn't have to deal with so many ponies bothering her as she made her way up to the tower. Now, she found that she desperately wished one of them would at least say hello. But then she was in the solitude of her tower, and she hesitated slightly before unpacking her cello. How many hours had she spent perfecting the mastery of her instrument? How many sleepless nights, bloodshot mornings, marathon sessions that lasted from before dawn until far past dusk? And not just lack of sleep. What other privations had she enforced upon herself? Rigorous exercise, strict diet, abstention from any unhealthy food. She had not tasted candy in years, and only drank chocolate or ate baked sweets to restore herself for a successful performance. And the sacrifice of anything approaching a social life, all for pursuit of her music. And now that was to be taken from her. She could play, certainly, but never again for any kind of audience. Not for the pony she wanted to reach, to delight, to move. All that, and all for nothing. A musician with no audience is something to dream of. I do not think I will wake up from this dream. But she had no time to complain. She had a piece to master. That wasn't going to happen as she stood around feeling sorry for herself. That it couldn't be mastered was immaterial. If she was going to play it, and she very well might, she was going to play it to the best of her ability. She didn't have it in her to do anything else. So she set up the score, picked up her cello, raised up her bow, and began to play the first few notes of Symphony for Moon and Sun. Then, Tavi, if you ever need final, now's a perfectly good time.